G'day, welcome to another episode of Country Life on the Coast. My name is Sean, and on today's episode we're going to do some maintenance on our Hafco wood planer thicknesser. So in the previous episode I showed this that I'd bought second hand and we gave it a go and it did quite a good job. We also got the manual with it as part of it, and so this time we're going to do some maintenance to it. I don't know how much work this has had before we bought it. I'm not sure, whether it's ever been maintained. I'm not sure how good the blades are on it as well. So that's where we're going to start though, is we will replace the blades first, or at least have a look at them. And they came with a spare set of blades, so we can replace them if we need to, or they're double-sided as well, so we might be able to use the other side if they're okay. So let's get into it and see what they're like. So the first step is these are the tools that came with it. So as much as possible, I'm hoping that this is all that's required. First thing we need to do is remove this dust shield or dust collector. There's just some Allen bolts that we'll need to remove, and that will come off. We have the dust chute removed. So the next step is to remove these two little hex bolts here. There is obviously a warning as well. We need to make sure the power is turned off and unplugged, which in my case it definitely is. So we'll get those bolts out as well. So this is one of our blades, and I'm not sure if you can actually see it on camera, but it's well worn. I don't think it's even straight anymore. So let's pull this out. To do that, we need to undo all of these. So a couple of things to note. I just had a look at the instructions. It's always a good thing, especially when I've never done this before. And what it says is to lower this down, so that can slide in. Just had to lower that to the right location. Now I can move the blades around, so that's handy. The other thing is, when you get to the right spot, this is a locking point, so when you get to the right spot, that pops up and that locks the blade in place. And from what I can understand, that's probably where we need it to be. And then we just need to loosen off all of 8 of these bolts, just loosen them enough to get the blade out. So we've got that now sitting in the right spot. It is locked in that spot. So we'll undo these now and get this blade out. So if you're doing this at home, you need to make sure you open these as far as they possibly can without going too far. So I sort of started at either end and worked my way in, but made sure that they were still screwed in a little bit. So a couple of times I screwed them slightly too far and then just quickly screwed them back in. And so then, you can sort of pull on them a bit to make sure they're there. But now, because this is all spring loaded, that's really loose. And now I can just use a magnet, hopefully get this blade out. So there is a proper tool that I do not have, that this originally came with, to get those out. It showed me in the manual what it should be, but yeah, I don't have one of those. But that's one of our sets of blades. Now there's another one of those on the other side that we'll have to do. So just having a look at this other side of the blade does not look very bad at all. It's got some little marks on it, but they're not chips or anything. I'll just very carefully wipe that down and we'll have a better look. So just to try and show you how well worn the original side is, the ends are sitting flush with this straight edge, and if you look carefully you can actually see how well worn they are. That's amazing. So if we turn this around and we sit it there, it's perfectly straight. So I'm going to put this back with this edge out, and we won't even use the other blades we've got. We'll keep those for future use. One thing to note as we put the new blade back in here is there's a couple of locating pins that it has to sit on, and that obviously what helps hold it. So there's a couple of holes for them all to go in and sit down on, and then we clamp that down. So it sounds easy. I'm sure it's going to be slightly more difficult than that, but let's do this. So if you look, that just dropped straight onto each one of those pins. I can't believe how easy that was. I was not expecting that to be that simple. So now we just go through and we do up all of those bolts. So there we have it. There's one blade replaced. Looks awesome. So now all we need to do is rotate it around and we'll do this one. And again, we can see how worn this one is. So we will undo all those bolts again and do exactly the same thing. Hopefully just rotate this blade 180 degrees so the other side will be fine again. The next bit of maintenance we're going to do is do some lubrication of all the gears and that are in here, the chain. So we need to take this side cover off. Just a couple of screws on top and in the side here that we'll undo. Pull this off and get into it. So this is the gearbox. You can see all the gears up in here. And to be honest, it's a lot better looking than I expected it to be. Still got grease and oil on it, so I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Just put a bit more lubrication on it. Doesn't really need a lot though, but we'll just clean out the dirt and gunk. It obviously seals really well. It's like a foam cover around it in the plastic, so yeah, very impressed. In the manual it says to put some grease on the gears, so I'll do that, and it says to put some spray lubricant on the chains. Well, these chains have a lot of grease already on them, so I'm just going to leave the grease on those, and I'll put a bit more grease up on here on the gears. What we can do is similar to before where we replaced the blades. We can use this handle, just need to obviously keep pushing this to keep it rotating, but we can rotate that and that will move these gears around. So as I move that, I'll hold that red button down and be able to just keep rotating that, and that will just help get the grease all through all the different gears that are down there as well. So I'll put on as many as I can reach and then rotate it, and we should be good to go. You just saw me spray some WD-40 on these two posts and the screw that rotates to raise and lower the cutter, just to clean it all up and try and help it to slide smoother. I'm going to remove the other side now. I'll take the side cover off as well, and then I'll do the same with those two posts as well, and the handle as well that adjusts it up and down. We'll just clean all that up, spray it with WD-40 as well, let it run up and down, try and clean out any of the dirt and grime and that sort of thing, just to help it in maneuvering it up and down. We have all this back together again now, and there's just a couple more things to do. The first is we just need to check the in-feed and the out-feed tray, that they're level. So we just put a straight edge on this and just check that it's either not too high or not too low, because it will affect how the timber gets fed through and if it creates snipe on the edge, that sort of thing. So we're just getting nice and close and we'll have a good look at this. So now when we put this straight edge here, we can actually see it's hard to try and show on camera, but there is a bit of a gap just here, which tells me that the back is actually a little bit too high. So to adjust this, there's a little screw here with a lock nut on the bottom, so we might just lower that just a fraction just to see what adjustment that gives us, and just try and make this side slightly better. I'm actually really happy with that side over there. It's quite good. So it's like a 10 mil. Loosen that fraction. We'll tighten the bottom down in a minute. Okay, so now we've gone a little bit too far. Well, we spent a fair bit of time just dialing this in to be correct. Both sides, we've done the in-feed and we've done the out-feed little shelves now. So they're all, I'm really happy with them. Took a fair bit of work, just doing it little by little. Very fiddly, because when you adjust one side it could adjust the other accidentally, and then when you tighten them down you need to have a spanner on the top so that that doesn't move, and then nip it down, the locking nut down tight. We've got them all tightened down now and it's all, I'm really happy with it. So the very last thing we're going to do is just lubricate everything here in regards to the tray where it feeds in this main base as well. And what I'm actually going to use is some beeswax. I believe this should act as quite a nice slippery surface for the timbers to slide through. It's basically just trying to reduce the friction, the drag, as the timbers go through. So I believe this will work. I bought this at Bunnings. It was only a few dollars, so let's try it. So there we have it. with that beeswax, I wiped it on there, and then I did spend a bit more time polishing it all as well, trying to sort of buff it on. The manual does say to use a wax and then try and polish it, just to reduce that friction. I'm not sure if that is going to work. We'll see how it goes. If anyone watching this uses something on it, please make a comment, let me know. I looked around to try and find different lubricants or a wax of some description. There's nothing that I could really find. So I found that and thought, well, we'll give it a go. Apart from that, that's all the maintenance you need to do on one of these. So if you've got a thicknesser and you're using it, make sure you look after it and give it a bit of maintenance every now and again as well. It'll just help it last so much longer. But that's all we've got for this episode, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this, please consider subscribing. That would be fantastic. And we'll catch you on the next one. God bless.